Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen, all in crypto here, and welcome back, guys, for another daily cryptocurrency market update. We got a lot to cover. We're going to be helping you guys navigate the cryptocurrency markets and the markets externally that we know have had such a bearing on our small but very significant and to become a lot more significant space. So if that sounds good, guys, please do me a favor and smash that like button, leave a comment for the algorithm, and of course, if you're not already subscribed, please consider doing so. We release one of these videos every single day, and we have been doing pretty much every single day for the past 3 years now, covering the cryptocurrency market and helping you guys navigate these interesting markets in this interesting time. And that's what we're going to do today. So first thing I want to touch on, we're going to go over the Bitcoin chart. We're going to look at the S&P. We're going to look at a number of things because I think if you just look at the charts on their own merit and you take away the background noise and everything going on externally in terms of the media and what's being portrayed, you got Robert Kiyosaki calling for a financial pandemic. Robert Kiyosaki, I have read all of his books. I do enjoy listening to his podcast occasionally, but he has been calling for a financial pandemic for as long as I have been alive. And he will be right one day, I'm sure of it. We also believe that that is coming, the kind of end of the fiat system. We're going to play a clip of Buffett talking about this because there's something more. There's something interesting. There's an added layer to everything going on right now with this kind of fiat and anti-fiat battle. Anti-fiats being Bitcoin, gold, alternative systems to the fiat system that we have, which is a complete Ponzi scheme and is actually the very tool that has enslaved you and taken away freedom from many. However, getting all John McAfee there. So let's get through it all. Some breaking news in regards to Bittrex filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Sam Bankman-Fried pleads that, or essentially has said that he doesn't want to get any criminal charges and is seeking most of the charges for dismissal. He should be in jail. He's blaming the crypto winter for FTX fail. No, FTX failed because you and your little polyamorous, whatever the hell, group of individuals, couldn't organize a piss up in a brewery. And that's why it failed. You know, the mismanagement and gross misconduct that went on with FTX is nothing short of criminal. And then we'll talk about a number of other things. Of course, yesterday's big headline was Bitcoin's network being clogged up due to minimals, whatever they're called, NFTs basically on Bitcoin. Ethereum's also pretty clogged up right now. You know, this obviously fed into some of the price downdraft. You had Celsius withdrawals taking place, and also yesterday we had Bittrex files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Despite that, I think there's a lot more reasons to be bullish on crypto fundamentally than there are bearish. And actually, I think if you take away the background noise and you just look at Bitcoin on its own merit, technically, I think it looks bloody good. And also, there's been something I've been looking at with the stock market. So I think gold looks good. I think gold's in a bull flag that it will eventually break out of. I think that the S&P could be doing some sort of head and shoulders. And actually, the interesting thing about if this is to be a head and shoulders that breaks and sees upside is we think that, and we've looked at what happens when rates go sideways, which we think is coming. And of course, we've got inflation tomorrow, which is going to be quite telling. What happens when rates go sideways? What do the markets typically do after an aggressive hiking cycle? You guys can go and verify and look at that for yourselves. We've done all the work on the channel for you guys. If you guys want to join the Patreon and get a bit more of an in-depth guide into what I'm buying and where I'm buying, please do consider doing so. That is not a shill. It's just if you want to take your investment journey, and we have an insane retention rate for people joining the Patreon to that next level, please do consider joining. But you could have some sort of an inverse head and shoulders at a key level. There's some interesting DNA that you've got, not just with Bitcoin, but you've got it with the stock market also. You know, you've got the stock market resistance, Bitcoin resistance, gold resistance, and the kind of fiat at support. You know, I think that this is going to break to the downside, in my opinion, the US 2-year yields. We think it's topped and we think rates follow. We've done lots of looking at what happens when the 2-year yield tops and what the market's typically doing that. You know, this is part of why we have a bullish analysis on the crypto space at the moment. And of course, you've got the dollar, which is at support. I could see some dollar strength looking at the pairs. Pound, it doesn't look great against, but the yen and the euro, it doesn't look too bad against. However, you know, I'm still unbelievably bullish on the crypto space. I think if you look at Bitcoin, the S&P, and gold on their own merit, you ignore all the noise and the kind of fear mongering that's going on out there. You know, the bears have literally been claiming victory on every single dip this year. And look at where it's at. Bitcoin is still a whopping 79, 78%. I'll take that on a year. Certainly if you guys are with me and investing at the start of the year. Altcoins, they will have their day. I think it's just going to take a little bit of time. But even despite everything going on at the moment, with Bitcoin climbing up, Bittrex bankruptcy, so on and so forth, doom and gloom, banking crisis, debt ceiling, so on and so forth, we're still bullish on Bitcoin for the end of this year. And ultimately, we think 35K is going to get taken, and then 41, 42K plus. And that's very conservative, I think, for this year. I think altcoins are going to be significantly higher. That's just my take on it. You are welcome to disagree, but if you're going to disagree, leave a reason why, and don't just say because so-and-so said so or so-and-so said this. You know, tell me why you think that is the case, why you think Bitcoin's going to go on and put new lows. We are against, there are some bulls out there, but they're bulls that have been bullish throughout this entire time period. We're very different in regards to the fact that we were extreme bears here, shorting Luna and everything up there, and then flipped to a bullish stance at the start of the year. All the videos are still up there, guys. You know, we're not saying this to brag. We're saying this to kind of show you that, you know, we're not just one-sided. We're not a perma bull. I'll be a bear and a bull when I think the time is right to be either one of those. And right now we're bullish. And ultimately, like I say, if you take away the background noise and just look at the charts on their own merit, I think it looks pretty good. Now, tomorrow, of course, is CPI. What do we got here? So the forecast is that it hasn't changed. Which would probably... I don't think the market's like no change. I think anything under 5 is going to be good. Anything over, one swallow does not a summer make. So we'll see. But we ultimately, for the bull case, want lower CPI. We have done some looking at commodities, which actually went on, you know, slightly higher than they were except for the case of wheat and I think natural gas. Oh, and the pre-market, I'm not sure. No, that's not pre-market. That's a draw I've done. But yeah, and again, another quick word on the stock market. Look at Apple. You know, it's at this kind of resistance. It's very interesting. So I'm actually pretty bullish on all markets, believe it or not, minus the dollar market and individual stocks. I think are going to get whacked. Stocks are overvalued, but they're overvalued in line with the money supply. If we take a look at Amazon, I mean, look at that. It looks like crap. Double bottom there, which doesn't look too bad. But we're ultimately got a pretty bullish outlook. So, of course, let's move on to a little bit of news, and then I'm going to finish by playing a quick clip of Warren Buffett. And this is what we're talking about with this kind of fiat and anti-fiat things that are going on. So CPI tomorrow. Let's see what we get. We'll cover it on the channel, of course. Bittrex files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy just weeks after the SEC charges. The SEC have got blood on their hands, not just in regards to crypto firms, but in regards to investors that have been hindered by the SEC's rulings that actually have been deemed to have no merit. If you look at, I mean, Gary Gensler was asked a very simple question: is Ethereum a security or not? And he literally couldn't answer it. You have been in office, or you have been in that position for years at this point, and you still haven't worked out whether the second largest cryptocurrency is a security or not. Wow. Somebody get him some milk. I mean, it's just, you know, it's insane. You know, this guy is messing with the entire industry. I think it was, I can't remember where the country was, but literally 400 firms. They thought, oh well, we'll stick our chest out and be quite aggressive with crypto. And literally 400 firms and a huge damage to their economy took place. You know, if Bitcoin crypto is the next big thing, it's going to be a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Then actually, if the US continue on this path, and we saw a lot of accusations against the SEC not. And they're being too harsh and prohibiting all this, then you will miss out. But in the case of Bittrex, the firm estimated it had 100 creditors, between 50 and 1 billion in assets, and between 500 million and 1 billion in liabilities. So So I'm not sure quite what's happened here. The SEC lawsuit could have tipped it over, but they have indeed filed for bankruptcy. Another one bites the dust. Bankman-Fried's looking to get let off. I don't think he should be. Robert Kiyosaki, of course, we looked at this yesterday, calling for a financial pandemic. Failure to raise the debt ceiling would result in an economic catastrophe. So if you really think that the debt ceiling, they're going to let the debt ceiling not be raised and the US to default on their debts, you are, I think, having a laugh. Because the implications of the US defaulting on their debt don't just affect the US, it would completely destroy all the credibility that they have, the US dollar itself as a world reserve currency, and cripple other countries that own US denominated debt. And the Fed have previously said, don't worry about that because we've got an infinite amount of money, which is, you know, beautifully. And one of the things that I am very excited about and happy to see is the amount of people waking up to the fiat systems and just what they've done. You know, they're a control system. And they're there to control you. You know, you give up the best years of your life for money, and you know who decides what that money is and that value is. You know, it's totally manipulated and controlled. It's like playing a game of Monopoly right now, and certainly for younger people, where you're entering the game and the entire board's been bought up. And actually, the bank's gone, well, we'll only give you $10 instead of $200 when you pass go, but we'll give our friends $500 when they pass go instead. That's the game you're playing, and hey, no excuse not to try. You can make it. You know, I've done quite well for myself, and I think the way that you do that, if you're somebody that does have a 9 to 5 and you are, don't have a massive expendable income, you do little by little, and you save. If you can do 1/10 of your earnings, do that, and you make those earnings work for you, and over time you will do well and pull yourself out of whatever situation you're in. So this is, of course, Warren Buffett. I thought this was a very wholesome video, actually, with the individual who asked the question. But this is Buffett talking about the dollar system. And even he is looking at it and going, I mean, he did say you can't see another reserve currency at the moment, but that doesn't mean that there isn't going to be one. But let's listen to this, and then I'll love and leave you guys.
When the pandemic broke out, I mean, it was a semi-war-like situation, but nobody knows how far you can go with the paper currency before it gets out of control. And particularly if you're the world's reserve currency, nobody knows the answer to that. And you don't want to try and pick out the point at where it does become a problem, because then it's all over. I think we should be very careful. I mean, you know, we all learned Keynesianism, and we applied it in World War II to the advantage of the country. And we did everything we could to prevent inflation during the war. And then the war ended in August of 45. And I think in January 46, and I'm not giving you exact figures at all now, but in January 46, I think the rate of inflation was at something like 1% or thereabouts. And by the end of the year, I think it was at like 15%. And again, I'm doing this from long memories, but it's easy for America to do a lot. But if we do too much, it's very hard to see how you recover once you let the genie out of the bottle and people lose faith in the currency.
People should have lost faith in the currency. You know, it's inflation is a tax on everyone. Yeah. That's really all I've got for you guys. Hopefully that's given a bit of clarity to everything. I think there's a lot of news associated with Bitcoin and crypto in general, which is being a bit of a downdraft for it. Despite the doom and gloom action, just look at the price action. You know, if things were really that bad, would Bitcoin be here? My answer to you is no. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. If you enjoyed the content, like, subscribe, appreciate it, so to comment, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Thanks all for watching. See you in the next.